A good Woche, everybody, and a good Chodesh, and a good Yom Tiv. Tonight, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, and Chassidim are celebrating together the Simcha of the personal Geulah and Refuah of the Rebbe, the day that the Rebbe left 770 and returned home after what many thought would be a very, very, very long intern at home in 770 because of the heart attack that occurred on Simchas Torah, Tavshin Lamed Ches. And Baruch Hashem, with Nisei Nisim, the Rebbe was able to go home in full strength. And since then, on Rosh Chodesh Kislev, it has become the custom and minig and privilege of Chassidim to celebrate with a Sudas Haidah and a very joyous occasion. In connection with Rosh Chodesh Kislev, so in Lubavitch today, everyone associates Rosh Chodesh Kislev with the Kinos HaShluchim, which we know that it's the one Shabbos a year when all the Shluchim gather together and they spend Shabbos by the Rebbe in Crown Heights. And when the organizers were looking for a special Shabbos to associate the Kinos with, so naturally they thought of Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the joyous day that we celebrate the Rebbe's strength, the Rebbe's recovery, and the Rebbe's growth. So therefore, at this special time, I would like to say welcome to each and every one of you that are watching the shiur tonight. Tonight is, Emir Hashem, we're going to be starting off the first of a series of weekly shiurim on Inyan Geulah Moshiach in English. In the past, I have stood here and given different shiurim on Chabad.info on a weekly basis, but that was in Hebrew. But I've heard from many people that they say America's nit anders, that America should be no different. And why is it that the English population, people that speak English and they want to hear a shiur in English, why should they be left without a shiur, a video shiur on Moshiach? Because in the past, I've written many articles about Moshiach, and I've also recorded many audio CDs about Moshiach. And they can be purchased at www.ylcrecording.com. But any doime shmiya l're'iyah, you can't compare a audio CD to a visual video and a visual shiur. A video shiur, you feel more connected to what's going on. And I hope that my audience that's watching the shiur tonight feels that I'm talking to them personally, because I am. And as a matter of fact, I warmly welcome the feedback from any of my viewers on whatever topic we're talking about, any ideas, suggestions, and even positive criticism. You can email me personally at yeshivaslubavitch@gmail.com. That's YESHIVAS Lubavitch@gmail.com. Any comments that you would feel that's beneficial for me to know to make the shiur the most positive experience that it can be. What is the topic of this series of shiurim that we're going to be giving? And what's the purpose of listening to these shiurim? What's the purpose of sharing these shiurim with others? To answer this question, I want to go back 20 years this Shabbos. 20 years ago, this Shabbos was the Kinos HaShluchim 5752. In order to understand the background to this Kinos, you have to understand a certain foundation. The foundation is like this, that in the spring of 1991, the Rebbe started what he would call, he launched the official Moshiach campaign. On the 28th of Nisan 5751, the Rebbe announced in 770 that he has done all his can to bring Moshiach, and now he is giving the job to Chassidim to bring Moshiach. And everyone was all excited, on the other hand nervous, on the other hand perplexed. Exactly what were they supposed to do? So finally, the week of Shabbos Tazria Mitzorah Tovshin Aleph 5751, the Rebbe made it crystal clear what is his expectation. What's this new thing that we're supposed to add? Torah mitzvahs we did until now. The Rebbe obviously is demanding something more. The Rebbe is obviously demanding a certain straight path to Mashiach. And the Rebbe made it very clear. On that Shabbos he said that what I want is everyone to start getting involved with learning about Mashiach. by learning about Mashiach, we will begin living with Mashiach. The Rebbe wanted men, women, and children to learn about Mashiach, but not just personally and privately. The Rebbe insisted that there should be public shiurim classes about Mashiach until it becomes the in thing, that people are part of a group that wants to learn about Mashiach, and that brings an energy to everyone around them. Now, there was one group of people that did not hear the Rebbe's message direct. And those were shluchim, because they're obviously not by the Rebbe's Farbrengen. Whatever they heard, Motzei Shabbos, was a review. And we know that second-hand doesn't really work as strong. When you just hear something from someone or heard from someone else, it doesn't really hit you as strong. Finally, Rosh Chodesh Kislev Toshin Beis, that Shabbos Mevorchim, they came to 770. This was the Rebbe's chance to address his chayes and inject it into his special army, his precious soldiers, the army of Shluchim. Now, looking in hindsight, we can see that the Rebbe was preparing for the Tkufa, the era that we're in now, after Gimel Tammuz. This is going to be the last time the Rebbe is going to physically address the Shluchim until the Hizgalos. And in this Sicha, this monumental Sicha of Chayesara Toshin Beis, the Rebbe came to the Kinos and he made a statement. And he said that at this point, our focus of our shlichus is to get the world ready to greet Mashiach. And the Rebbe used an interesting expression. The Rebbe said that there are a lot of mitzvahs we do and a lot of mitzvahs we do. But in every few years, the Rebbe says, we open up a new gate to which all of our projects go through that gate. And the Rebbe said the gate that we're dealing with right now, the gate to all the projects is Moshiach. Now, just to make clear what this means. A palace has many rooms, and it has many gardens, and it has many chambers. But if you don't enter the front gate, you're not getting in. In every era, there's a certain passion which the Rebbe of that time is involved with. And if you want to be in with the Rebbe at that time, you got to enter his gate. He opens a certain gate each time. The gate of the now is the gate of Mashiach. Now, let me explain what that means in the very basic terms. Imagine in the late Chavs, when the Rebbe came out with Miftzah Tefillin, a Chassid would say that, I like Chabad. I like to learn Chassidus, I like to daven ba'avoda, but I don't want to do Miftzoyim. I don't want to do Miftzah Tefillin. The Rebbe is saying the gate of time is Tefillin. We're not interested in Miftzah Tefillin. It's not for us. We don't want to go on the streets. We're embarrassed to speak to Fraya people. We're not so sure if it's the right thing to do. So you're going to call him a Lubavitch Chassid, but he's not in with the program of the time. And the same is true in each Miftzah. As the Rebbe comes out with that Miftzah, if you want to be in with the Rebbe of the time, you have to be involved with what he calls the gate of the time. One time, Reb Nissen Emenov came to the Rebbe in Yeshivas and he asked, how can I become a kusher to the Rebbe? And he said, by koching sich in the Maimorim, that I'm koching sich at the time. In other words, if the Rebbe is saying Maimorim about the Rebbe Marash's Maimorim, that's what you should be involved with at the time. Each time has its thing. And if you want to be in with the Rebbe at this time, you have to be going through the gate of the time. There's a very strong story which illustrates this point. In Russia, in the early 20s, the communists, they were taking over and they were destroying the belief system of Klal Yisrael. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said that we have to save the younger generation, because if there are no young goats, there will be no older goats. And he opened up what he would call the Mivtza Tashbar, which means the Mivtza of Tinoike Shel Beis Rabban, that everyone should teach little kids. One of the Frierdiker Rebbe's biggest chassidim, who was considered a Beinoni of the Tanya, was Reb Itche the Masmid. Now you can imagine Reb Itche the Masmid, who didn't get his name for nothing, it's because he learned the whole day. How difficult it was for him to teach little kids Aleph Beis. So hard. This big Masmid is going to teach Aleph Beis. So one time by Farbrengen, he told the Frierdiker Rebbe that can he be potter from this Mivtza. It's just too hard for him. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said, Itche, Oib du bist oisik in Tashbar. If you're going to teach the kids, bist du meine, and then you're my chassid. If not, bist du Itche, aber nicht meine. If not, you could be the great Itche the Masmid. But my chassid, you're not. In other words, if you want to be a chassid of the Rebbe at that time, you have to do whatever the Rebbe opens the gate of the time. That is your entranceway to Yiskashrus of the time. And the Rebbe said, now, starting from Kinus HaShluchim Tavshin on Beis, the entranceway is getting the world prepared for Mashiach by teaching the world concepts about Mashiach. It means the Rebbe said every shliach should go back and teach in a way that his city will understand the concepts of Mashiach. Whether one shliach, for example, it could mean his much more simple city. So he should tell them stories about people that waited for Mashiach. One shliach comes from a city where people are much more learned. Let them learn Gemaras about Mashiach. One shliach comes from a city where people are more esoteric. Let them learn the Zohar about Mashiach. Other shliach, let them learn Medrash about Mashiach. Every city is different, but the Rebbe wants to get the message of Mashiach to each city the way that city will accept Mashiach. And therefore, this is going to be the topic of this, in honor of this 20 years anniversary. We're going to be starting a special series of shiurim, which is going to describe the way the world's going to look like in Yemoisa Mashiach. We're going to go through different topics of what the world's going to look like, what's going to happen with Chiyas HaMesim, what's going to happen with the famous meal of the Levyasan and the Shara Bar, what's going to happen in the Beis HaMikdash, is there going to be technology in the Beis HaMikdash, all these exciting questions about what's the world going to look like when Mashiach comes, we're going to be addressing in this series. Each week, for about a half hour, we're going to speak about a specific topic. Now, what's the goal? The goal is that the more we internalize the inyanim of Mashiach, the more we will change our lifestyle in order to bring Mashiach. And I want to tell you, my dear audience, another fascinating story. The Talmidim of the Magid, there were a few Talmidim, students, that were obsessed with seeing Eliyahu Hanavi. And they kept on asking the Magid, when can we see Eliyahu Hanavi? When can we see Eliyahu Hanavi? The Magid said, you're not worthy. Finally, one time he said, I can show you Eliyahu Hanavi. In the next city, there's a big local landlord, the Poritz, who's having a big birthday. And all his friends are coming to visit him. They're going to see a lot of fancy carriages drawn with white horses that are going to be coming. The third carriage, the Poritz in that carriage is really Eliyahu Hanavi. So they ran to the next city and they waited. 1 o'clock, all the carriages came. They jumped into the third carriage and they said in Polish, how are you, Eliyahu Hanavi? So this Poritz looked at them and sent them flying. So they came back to the Magid. They said, you tricked us. There's no Eliyahu Hanavi. There's some Goyish Poritz sitting there in the carriage. And the Magid said, what language did you ask them how he's doing? He said, in Polish. He said, if you knew it was Eliyahu Hanavi, why were you speaking in Polish? He saw that you weren't ready to talk to him, so he sent you flying. We have certain things that we do, the way we eat, the way we speak, the way we act, the way we think, which is regular. But when we know Mashiach is coming, we have to change the way we speak, change the way we think, change the way we act. And that's the goal of this series. The goal of this series is that we should, every week, inject in ourselves a point of Mashiach, which will eventually demand from us, and it's going to happen by itself because Torah changes ourselves. The more we learn the Torah about Mashiach, you're going to see in yourself, and therefore beware, my dear audience. Listen to me once, and I want to make it clear. If you're not ready to change yourself, please shut the video now. Please do not come back next week and watch, because if you're ready to stay in the same place you are now, if you're not ready to prepare yourself, if you're not ready to change, so just click off. Because these shiurim are going to make your life miserable. Because you're going to start changing your thoughts, your speech, your actions are going to automatically start changing. You're going to be becoming aware of the imminent arrival of Mashiach. And that's automatically going to demand from you to change everything, your lifestyle. You're going to be entering a lifestyle of Yemoisa Mashiach. And therefore, I hope that we're all ready. 20 years is a long time. The Rebbe is waiting for us to get involved. The Rebbe is waiting for us to do that extra step to bring Mashiach. And therefore I do encourage you, if you do find these shiurim interesting, and I hope you will, to share it with friends, share it with family, share it with people that want to know, because it's our job to make the revolution. It's our job to make Moshiach a reality. The job was given to us. The job was given to each and every one of us to make Moshiach real. Now, I know some of you may be sitting here and thinking to yourself, you're telling me it's been 20 years, so it's probably not going to happen. 20 years makes it sound very far. 20 years makes it sound very non-realistic. So I want to tell you 2 points. First thing, halachically, there's a rule that if someone passes away and he has a young child, so Beis Din does not let him get fully involved in his father's assets because they're afraid he's going to be taken advantage of. They appoint someone to guard the assets till the child's 20. At 20, he begins to get involved in his father's assets. In other words, the Rebbe's siches are treasures. 20 years later, it's beginning to become applicable. The energy of the siches we have to internalize now after 20 years. And then the second point is that as Chassidim we know that the Rebbe is waiting, and the Rebbe told us a prophecy of Hinei Zeh Moshiach Ba. And the Rebbe is anxiously waiting to take Yidden out of Golus. It's up to us. The more we get involved in learning about Mashiach, the more we get involved in teaching others about Mashiach, the more we get involved in making Mashiach part of our reality, part of our lives, the quicker it's going to happen. Because when we turn our personal life into a life of Mashiach, you will soon see that the world around you will begin this way. You will begin to see everything in the light of Mashiach. The Rebbe demands from each and every one of us to open up our eyes. What does that mean? Where our eyes are closed? Well, technically no, but practically yes. What does that mean? You ever see people? You ever walk into a room and there's a guy holding a paper like this? Another guy saying, you don't see the picture behind the paper? The guy's like, no, all I see is a bunch of dots. Then finally, it's called the halogen thing, you tilt it and finally you see the picture behind all the dots. The other guy screams, open up your eyes, open up your eyes. That's the way it is with us. The Rebbe sees the world changing, a dot here, a dot here, a dot here. Communists falling, nuclear weapons being destroyed, Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael, war on terror, people focusing on education, people focusing on aid and personal growth. And everyone sees personal dots. The Rebbe sees the picture behind. The Rebbe sees that this is the picture of Mashiach becoming real in our lives. For us to see this picture, we need to put on the 3D glasses. We need to learn in Yonei Geulah Mashiach, and then we will see the way the world is getting, it's really happening. And the more we see that it's really happening, the more we will make our lives and live our lives accordingly. So again, welcome everybody. This is going to be the first of a long journey. The journey that's going to end in the Beis HaMikdash, because this year, tonight, Amir Tashem, we're going to finish in the Beis HaMikdash. Please get your walking stick and join me for the journey to Geulah. And please, get ready and get set, because we are going to do this together. Each and every one of us, men, women, and children, people that are watching, are joining the journey to Geulah. The way the Rebbe said it, on the Rebbe's straight path. The path of Limud in Yonei Geulah Mashiach. So once again, a good Vach, a good Chodesh, and welcome aboard.